In the spring of 1846, a spirit of optimism swept across America. It was the age of manifest destiny, a belief that the nation was destined to stretch from coast to coast. They were drawn by the promise of California, a land of sunshine, opportunity, and endless possibilities. Thousands of families packed their belongings into covered wagons, leaving their old lives behind. For the first few months, the trip was hard but manageable. They made good time, following the path that so many others had taken before them. Among these hopeful pioneers were two wealthy families from Illinois, the Donners and the Reeds. They joined a large wagon train heading west, well-equipped and confident of their success. It was called the Hastings Cutoff, and it promised to shave weeks off the difficult journey to California. Their journey began on the well-established Oregon Trail. It was here they would make a single, catastrophic decision that would seal their fate and create a legend of terror. His shortcut was based on theory, not experience. Their wagons broke down, and their oxen grew weak. Precious time was slipping away. Tensions flared, leading to a violent dispute where one man was killed. But then, they came to a crossroads, both literally and figuratively. They were exhausted, but safety was just on the other side. The route had not saved them weeks. It had cost them over a month. And now, winter was coming. They learned of a new route, promoted by a man named Lansford Hastings. Hastings, an ambitious lawyer, had written a popular guidebook, but had never actually traveled the full route himself. They had lost most of their cattle in the desert. The relentless cold and starvation began to take their toll. They survived at first by eating their remaining oxen, and then their dogs. An unusually early and incredibly heavy snowstorm began to fall. They built crude cabins and lean-tos, preparing to wait out the winter. They were trapped, just 150 miles from their destination. To survive, the living had to eat the dead. The families huddled in their dark, frozen cabins, slowly starving, their hope dwindling with each passing day. The snow piled up, deeper and deeper, with frightening speed. Immediately, rescue parties were organized to save the people still trapped in the mountains. 7 of the original 15 had made it. They left food for the others and promised to return. Hastings had promised a dry, 2-day journey. It was a lie. Experienced mountain men warned against it. They said the route was unproven and dangerous. The scene that greeted them was one of pure horror. They found emaciated, ghost-like survivors. The social order had completely collapsed, replaced by the grim law of survival. The survivors were faced with a terrible reality. There was nothing left to eat. The Donner Party had passed into American legend as the ultimate cautionary tale. The choice to take the shortcut was the fatal error. But the Donner Party, eager to save time, decided to risk it. They broke away from the main trail. The shortcut was a disaster from the very beginning. It led them not to an easy path, but into the rugged and unforgiving Wasatch Mountains of Utah. This desperate group would later become known in history as the Forlorn Hope. They would try to cross the mountains on foot to get help. They had to hack their way through dense forests, taking weeks to cover just a few miles. The wheels of their heavy wagons sank into the soft, salty ground. After surviving the mountains, they faced an even greater obstacle: the Great Salt Lake Desert. The desert was a brutal 80-mile stretch of salt flats, with no water or grass. The sun was relentless. They were forced to abandon wagons and supplies. Their livestock died of thirst. The group became exhausted, demoralized, and divided. By the time they finally emerged from the shortcut, they were shattered. They raced towards the final obstacle that separated them from California, the towering Sierra Nevada mountain range. As they reached the base of the mountains in late October, the sky turned dark. The mountain pass ahead, the last gate to their salvation, was now blocked by a wall of snow over 5 feet deep. The Donner Party was forced to set up a winter camp near a large lake, now famously known as Donner Lake. Their food supplies were critically low. As the weeks turned into months, the situation grew more desperate. The snow kept falling, burying their cabins completely. People began to die, one by one, from malnutrition and disease. In mid-December, a group of 15 of the strongest members, including several women, decided to attempt the impossible. They fashioned crude snowshoes and packed what little rations they had. Their journey was a nightmare of blizzard conditions and extreme cold. After a week, their food was gone. Starvation drove them to the brink of madness. One by one, members of the Forlorn Hope began to die. And it was here that the final, terrible taboo was broken. Back at the lake camps, the situation was just as grim. Meanwhile, after 33 days of unimaginable suffering, the survivors of the Forlorn Hope finally stumbled into a settlement in California. Their harrowing story of survival and cannibalism shocked the residents. The first rescue party reached the Donner Lake camp in mid-February. The rescuers could only take a small number of people out at a time, mostly the children. 4 separate rescue parties would eventually make the treacherous journey to the camps over the next 2 months. Each one found a progressively more horrific scene. They found evidence of widespread cannibalism, with dismembered bodies being used for food. The final rescuer to arrive in April found only 1 man left alive, surrounded by the grisly remains of his fellow pioneers. He was Lewis. Of the 87 pioneers who had taken the Hastings cutoff, only 48 survived. It is a story of human pride, of how one bad decision can lead to a cascade of disasters. But it is also a powerful and disturbing story about the will to live, and the terrifying lengths people will go to when faced with impossible choices. It reminds us that the pioneers who settled the West were not just heroes of folklore. They were ordinary people pushed to their absolute limits. The story serves as a chilling testament to the unforgiving power of nature and the fragility of human civilization when confronted by it. The beautiful lake in the Sierra Nevada mountains now bears their name, a serene monument to a winter of unimaginable horror. It ensures that the tragic story of the men, women, and children of the Donner Party will never be forgotten.